On today's episode of George's Dungeon Workshop, we're ripping apart the hero. Alright, what's going on, guys? Your man George back for another video, and today we're going to be ripping apart the hero just a little bit here to do some work on it and to see how easy, or not easy, it is to take this thing apart. The good guys at Alien Rides were kind enough to send this out to me. If you've been following the channel, you've seen a bunch of different content on the hero already. So this is basically our final video. We're going to tear it down. We're going to repair some of the minor issues that I've had that we've, in our 200, 300, 400 miles of intense riding, we've definitely beat this thing up. There are just a few little things that we need to check out. But the things I really want to know is what is scraping on the inside here. Okay. After a couple of bumps and jumps, some really intense crashes, we have something scraping the motor. You can actually see all that scraping going on the side of the motor. So something is causing that to scrape. Something on the inside is either broken or loose or stuck up inside there. So we either have to fish something out of there or we have to figure out what is broken or loose. And there is also a very small dent in the rim that we're going to try and take out here with a little wooden block and a hammer. See if we can't just gently massage that out. And while we're inside the hero, what we're going to do is we're going to take the suspension part just a little bit, see if we can't lube it up, get it real nice, and put this thing back together. So the next person who gets it has a 100% functioning wheel that is better than I left it. Maybe we'll clean it up a little bit too. It's a bit dusty. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, pull the pedals and the pads off the side and try to remove this plastic case first. I think that's our first step. Alright, so the pedals come off like any other pedals, 2 screws on the side, pop out the bar. Just make sure you loosen this right here so that the bar comes out easily. This plastic case, I'm seeing 4 screws here at the bottom. And then these ones here, holding it. And I think that's it. I think this whole piece will just pop off. I'm hoping there's not little plastic connectors inside that have a risk of breaking. I'm hoping this just comes apart pretty easily here. So I'm not really seeing any other screws on the tail here, even though this feels really tight. So I'm a little concerned what's going to happen when I go to try and take this off, but we'll see. All right, so one thing I'm noticing now, from a distance, this all looks really sealed by plastic, but when you get up close to it, look, there's gaps here, all along the bottom here. All right, here, I put my headlamp on, so hopefully you can see better, but you can actually see up inside there. There's holes here. I thought this was like really well sealed, but apparently it's not. So the waterproofing of this isn't as good as I thought it was. All right, well, this is proving to be an absolute pain in the ass to get this plastic cover off. So there's these 4 screws here. There's a screw in the tail. There is a screw right here. But this back piece here is fastened very well and the screws are inside. So what I have to do is take off this panel here, okay, to get access to the screws inside here. And in order to do that, there's these little clips up in here that you have to pop to get this to lift. And then when you get this to lift, you can't get it off without taking the handle off. So this is just a pain in the ass. And look, I think there's another clip up here that I don't even know how I'm supposed to get to this clip up here without breaking it. I mean, this sucks. My lord, look how complicated this trolley handle is. You unscrew these here. It's got this piece that runs all the way down. Probably to hit a sensor on the bottom. I don't even know. And this piece is like... man, you break your trolley handle, it's going to be expensive to replace for a trolley handle. Something that should be real simple. Alright, well, screw me, right? To got that screw undone, there's another one right there. So, it looks like this side came loose here, and this side didn't. So So I'm gonna gently try to pry this side a little bit. All right, I honestly can't figure out how to get the rest of this piece here, this top panel. It looks like it's all connected. I can't figure out how to get that off without just prying a little bit and hoping I don't break any plastic, which I really don't want to do. All right, so yeah, it did pop off with just some very gentle prying. I still don't know if that's the proper way to do it, but it doesn't look like I broke anything, which is good. A little super dusty in there, though. I guess that's to be expected. It is basically open from the underside, so. And we're taking this thing on a lot of off-roading. So one thing to keep in mind while I'm doing this repair here is that I'm approaching this like any old tinkerer in a garage would, right? I'm thinking, I'm not going to look it up on YouTube unless I absolutely have to. I'm trying to see how easy this machine is to work on. And if the first 45 minutes here don't already give you a clue as to how easy this thing is to work on, I don't know what will. But I'm trying to act as if, you know, I'm certainly no technical engineer. I'm not really a builder or tinkerer. A little bit. I like to build and tinker. And I always want to learn more about these machines and try to be self-sufficient in that regard and repairing my own machines. But so unless I really get stuck, I'm not going to look it up on YouTube. I'm trying to approach this as if you were just a normal guy in your garage trying to make a repair to your unicycle, right? So far, pain in the butt. Alright, so now that I got this thing open, you can see here, there's actually a bunch of damage from where this screw was over-tightened. Uh-oh, my light's running out of power, I think. But it looks like this screw was over-tightened from factory, and so was this one here. You can see some cracks in the plastic. Stop blinking. You're not out of power. Don't lie to me. Yeah, my best guess is that is from factory. I can't imagine riding did those two damages. It just looks like the screws were over-tightened. Yeah, look at that. And look, these ones down here are cracked too. Looks like all four of these and this one are all cracked from factory. If I had to guess, again, I mean, maybe it's from riding, but my real guess is that was just over-tightened from factory. Well, apparently that wasn't good enough because there's still something holding this shield on here. Screws across the top, screws across the bottom, a face shield on the top of it, side screws on the top and the front. They really wanted to make sure that this plastic case didn't come off. Alright, so it's almost certainly these two pieces of plastic right here holding this shell on, but I don't know how I'm supposed to access those. They must be little push tabs, but how am I supposed to get to them? Like from up in here? Like I can't even see them from up in here. It has to be those two because it's something right here. Because it's loose on that end, it's loose on this end. It's right in here that I can't get to. Alright, well, that's it. That's where I'm tapping out already. I'm going to have to look up on YouTube just how to get this little plastic cover off. Because I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how I'm supposed to access those clips. Unless I'm supposed to take the entire control board off. Like, it looks like if I took this entire control board mount apart and the bracket that's holding it all apart just to get to that clip, that can't be. There's no way that's right. I'm going to have to look it up. Alright, well, I did get it without breaking anything. Basically, the video I watched, the guy just lifted it and wiggled it enough to get these to break loose. I couldn't. I got one of them to break loose, but the other one I still had to wedge a little tiny Allen key. I was able to get just enough space to wedge it in there and kind of pry it loose. But this is a terrible design with all these clips on it that are inaccessible. I can't get to them easily to undo them. I guarantee you people are going to be snapping those to get this off. That's a terrible design. Not a fan at all. All right, well, we finally got the stupid plastic shell off of it. At least now we can access all the suspension. Oh no, look, I still can't access all the suspension parts. Damn it. This thing is a pain in the ass. But now that I've got it open and I'm looking up inside here, I really have no idea what's rubbing on this motor. There's nothing on this side at all that even looks like it would be the culprit. And this, the frame is solid as anything. It's not like that's wiggling. It's not loose or anything. It's not rubbing there. The whole motor seems to be mounted securely. And it's only when I really compress down on the suspension. And it's only on that side. The other side of the motor looks fine to me. It's just on this side. It's all scraped up. I assumed that that was what was making the noise that it makes when you're compressing it. Maybe not. Alright, so one of the things I really want to do here is to lubricate this bar here. I'm almost positive it's over tightened like this one was. But here's the deal. I saw somebody show me that if this is fully compressed, that this sticks out so you can work on it, but it hits this metal plate here, and it's still underneath this. I can't get an Allen key in it. Here, let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. From this, you can see I can't see it. Now let me compress the suspension. Okay, that's as high as it goes, and it's only half exposed. Like, I'm gonna have to take this entire bar apart here and here on both sides, just so that this is free swinging, so that it pops down here. This thing sucks. I don't know who designed this and thought this was good. Alright, so yeah, this top pin is just as scratched and stressed as the bottom pin was on the suspension here. I just ripped that all apart. And you can see that these bars here are all smooth as butter. You know, it's definitely none of them. They're all on bearings, it looks like. They're all really, really smooth. So it's definitely a combination of this, but I also think that this piston is creating almost all the friction in this system. I'm about to pick it up and see, but this should free flow up and down, and it doesn't feel like it does to me. You definitely can't see it on camera, but the inside of this suspension piece has like some paint or something stuck on the inside of it. That's definitely creating friction, so we gotta scrape all that out. I'm gonna scrape that all out, lube these all up. I'll check the other ones, make sure none of them have any crap inside, clean them all out. Try and get this thing smooth. Alright, so I just lifted this thing up and down, and this piston has all of the friction in it. This piston inside of here. So I'm going to try and lube it up really good and give it another shot here, but it does not freely flow up and down. It sticks a lot. So figuring out why that's sticking is going to be our biggest goal in getting this suspension to work a lot nicer, because I just know that this wheel has so much more potential, especially for the comfort of the suspension, than it's shown me in the couple hundred miles that I've ridden it, because I can tell it just doesn't feel as good as it should. Alright. Oh, finally. You see how that moves? That's how it should be moving. Oh. After aggressively lubricating both sides of that piston, this thing's moving 1,000 times better. So I don't know if there was sand up in there that I flushed out. I don't know if it was just sticky from factory, never got lubed at all. But aggressive lubrication on those made a world of a difference. And I'm sure if I do it to the rest of the shock, this thing's gonna feel a million times better. All right, so with the suspension fully depressed, now I can see where maybe this is the piece that's rubbing on the motor with my full weight on it. You can see that this piece right here, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I mean, it is literally fractions of a degree off center. Like it goes up slightly, like this whole piece is just slightly twisted. I'm wondering if maybe in one of the crashes and one of the impacts, this piece got just slightly twisted, and so when I depress on it with all my weight, maybe that's what's touching. Because it's still not rubbing now. The tire spins fine, but when I'm on it, it does make a slight scratch sound. All right, so here's something I just noticed. Look at this screw right here. It's super duper loose. And it's on the side of this that seems to be scraping the motor here with my full weight on it. So I'm wondering if that being loose is creating just enough play, because I mean, there is only a millimeter between this pedal hanger and the motor, which I think is another interesting design here by Begode. But there is zero clearance there. So if this is loose and causing just a little play in this, that might be what's causing that scraping. I hope that's it, because I really haven't found any other reason for this thing to be scraping at all. There's nothing making any contact until I put weight on it. So it has to be something twisting or bending or loose. All right, and this bar right here underneath the suspension, which kind of holds the frame like together, pinches it, that was also really loose, which could have been creating some play. So hopefully, if I just keep going over this and finding any other loose screws and screwing them back together, because I'm not ripping the other half apart, honestly. Like, a tire change on this is going to be a bitch, right? You got to take these battery cases off. You got to get in here, take this off, take these off, take the battery cases off, drop the motor out. Like, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's definitely annoying as shit. And I don't have to actually do a tire change, so I'm not going to do it. I just showed you how you could get in there. So use that knowledge to do your own. All right, one of these motor bolts, this one right here, actually felt a little bit loose as well. I retightened that. So I'm just going to have to keep going over everything here. I really probably should pop the other side open, but because it's this side, that's clearly the side that's rubbing, I feel like it's got to be one of these on this side here. So I'm just going to keep tightening everything, and then we'll put it back together and see what happens, I guess. Yep, and these two right here were also loose. All right, so here's what we're going to do, right? I'm running out of time for tonight. I got to go to sleep. I have work in just a couple of hours. If you're going to do it right, right? I got to open the other side, make sure everything's tight, clean it, redo the suspension on the back here. It's just too much work for me to finish tonight, so I'm going to come back tomorrow after work and finish it up. All right, guys, this is the next day. I'm back at it. Pretty much going to be all business here. First thing I'm going to do, straighten the rim while I've got it. Put a piece of wood on the bottom, use a piece of wood on top. Going to hit it with the hammer a little bit, straighten her out. Then we're going to flip it over, tighten up, take off the plastic, tighten up any other bolts, put it all back together, lube up the suspension. I'm getting to work. All right, so it's still not perfect, but it got rid of 90% of it, which is all you want to do. You just want to be gentle anytime you're doing this. Rather be safe than sorry. It's now small enough you're not going to notice this. So I'm satisfied with that. Just always, you know, if you're doing something like this, piece of wood underneath, a little piece of wood on top, and just be gentle, you know. Take extra time rather than just whacking it hard. So I just did another little suspension feel test. After 24 hours, it's already feeling a little bit frictiony again. So when I get the side all apart, I'm going to have to lube these tubes up again. It's definitely these side sliders that are causing a huge amount of friction on this right now. So I just got to keep flushing them out with the lubricant. That's all I can do. All right, so I just took it for a quick little test ride here because I finished everything I wanted to do to it. Seems like the scratching's gone, so whatever I tightened fixed that. It seems, I mean, I couldn't really feel the dent in the rim in the first place, but I can't feel that anymore. Suspension feels as smooth as it's felt since I've had it. So I would say, all in all, successful dissection. The Hero is a pain in the ass to work on, I'll tell you that much. I'm going to put this bad boy back together now. I was just looking, it's only got 340 miles on it, and I think I got it with 110 or so on it. So in the almost 3 months now that I've had this thing, I've only put 230 miles on it, and 60 of those were Jeff. So I think that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about my opinions on this wheel. It just wasn't for me personally. I just found it to be too heavy. It's definitely too complicated to work on. It's a pain in the butt. And it just didn't really check any of the boxes for me. But all in all, awesome experience having this thing, taking it apart. I'm going to clean it up. All right, well, I'm going to clean this wheel up now, get it ready to go back to its home, back with the boys at Alien Rides. One last time, guys, Rob, Kevin, David, Kai, anybody else I missed, all the people over at Alien Rides who do a great job supporting the community and giving me this great opportunity to try out a wheel. Thank you so much. It was an awesome experience to be able to play around with the wheel for a little while, give the community my thoughts, make some content. There's actually going to be a few more videos coming out on this wheel on my channel that I just haven't had a chance to edit yet. I just want to make sure I made this video for Alien Rides just in case they had any questions, comments, concerns about me taking the thing apart, working on it. I figured I'd release this one right away. That way, when it gets back to you guys over in California, you can message me about how I broke your wheel. No, it's in good shape now. Don't worry. It's actually better than I left it. So I'm going to clean it up now, get it all packed up, send it back. So that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Another episode of George's Workshop Dungeon. So until next time, guys, as always, ride safe.